favorite human beings. And today's show is very unique because we're live streaming this, so you can ask questions if I can get the technology to work. But more importantly, his book and the man behind the book is probably the most inspirational person you'll ever meet in your life. That's saying a lot because Gandhi's dead, right? So this is the next best thing. This guy's actually alive, but how he is alive today can be described by many people as a miracle. Imagine being diagnosed, I don't know, 5.5 years ago with brain and lung cancer, and the doctor's giving you a 1% chance of making it past year 5. Matter of fact, your most likely scenario is you're going to be gone in 6 months. And 93 chemo treatments later, look at this guy's got his hair. He's had brain surgery, lungs and brains radiated, liver's covered with 15 tumors. It's like, I don't even know how he's actually walking, let alone smiling right now. So we're going to talk about his book, his attitude, his mindset, and probably some pretty raw things about life and death. So stick around and welcome to the show today, my friend, my mentor, the inspiration for my life for living fully every day, Mr. Les Whitney. Les.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
An honor to have you on the show today. I'm going to open my chat here, and hopefully people can chime in. If they can't, too bad. We'll get it later. But I've got it here on the open chat for people that want to come in and ask a question. Live stream chat. Okay, I got that going.
And I would love it, by the way, ask any question they want.
Yes.
You want or they want of me. I will be an open book.
Yes, you are. We've had plenty of conversations working on your book, and we asked anything and everything about life and death and the pursuit of whatever. So give us about a 2-minute version of that day where you're, at a conference and you got the news.
Well, I already had known that I'd lost the use of my left hand, so I knew I had a brain tumor, but the doctors had told me that it didn't really start there; it had to start somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And so I get the phone call. I'm at the conference. I walk outside with a very dear friend of mine who was there to hold my hand to find out what this was all about, and the doctor said, I hate to tell you, but you've got incurable, and they always seem to start with incurable. Yeah. You have incurable stage 4 lung cancer. I am so sorry. And this particular doctor did not have a talent for hiding how serious it was. She was like, your life is over. Pretty much your life is over right now. And I'm sorry to tell you that, because this is the worst news I could tell anyone.
Right. And it's funny because I've we publish books for plenty of medical professionals, and not many people like you, of course, but they're looking at their historical data and scans of, oh my God, this is the worst I've seen. You're get your affairs in order. You've got, months, not years here. And tell us about your reaction and what you went through for the next, few weeks or months on that news.
Well, in that moment, I was numb, trying to grasp that I had horrible cancer, and the way she presented it, I was going to die. Yeah. And all I could think about was, how is this going to impact my wife, Teresa? Right. Mm-hmm. What is she going to do when I'm gone? Even at that moment, I had no fear of dying. I figured if I die, I die, and then it's over. So for me, it was not a big deal. It was going to be a big deal for her and for my family. Uh-huh. But to me, death is not something to be afraid of, because it's going to happen. And I'm not going to, after I die, I won't be involved anymore. Right?
Yeah. I don't know if people are, I think I'm going to, we could discuss this, but I think the unknown is what gives every people even a small fear of, like, if I go to, Brazil, what's going to happen? There's a little bit of unknown there. Death is obviously a huge unknown. That's why people have a lot of thoughts and ideas and, religion and stuff about that. And you like, okay, well, that's just something I'm going to go through. But I think the thing that's different from your perspective versus everybody else is we don't have a clue when it's going to happen. And most young people, especially, they think that so far in the future, it's inconsequential. It's going to happen so far. I don't have to worry about it, think about it. I can eat what I want, drink what I want, do what I want. And it's so far in the future. It only is when you're like, maybe in your late stage of life where you start thinking about, well, this is going to come up at some point. But even then still like, hey, I got 5, 10, 20, 30 years. We don't know. So we live our days. But you were given a calendar saying percent chance of 5 years, 1%.
Yep.
You know, and did you think when you got that first news, did you have a number in your mind? Like, I'll probably make it a year or two, or what were you thinking in terms of how much time you had?
I thought about it a lot. And I thought, what is the best way for me to handle this?
Yeah.
And I came up with a philosophy that every day that I wake up, I tell myself I have 3 years to live.
Yeah.
No more, no less. I have 3 years to live. And I picked 3 years because I thought if I said I had 1 year to live, then there would be such an urgency, and I don't know what I would do, but it would be about making a lot of stuff happen in a hurry.
Yeah.
And if I had 5 years or 10 years to live, then what's the urgency? Nothing, but 3 years, I want to make sure every moment is spectacular.
Yeah.
My wife and I love travel, so I wanted to make sure we traveled and saw the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very important to me. I spent my entire life trying to make a difference with other people. My mission in life was to help others achieve the greatness within them. And I just felt like everyone needs a guide that will help them fulfill their life. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, 3 years, I can make an impact on people who are going through cancer, people who are going through other illnesses, sure. And more importantly, the family members. I can give them a perspective because most people aren't as open about their situation as I am.
Yeah.
And don't share the pain and the emotional toil. Mm-hmm. And so I share it, and it allows family members of people going through any kind of serious illness, it allows them to understand more about what their family member is going through. And for me, that is so important that I can use this time I have to make that impact.
You know, you say the words, I'm in, service of others. I want to help other people out. A lot of people say that, Les. A lot of people say that. I can tell you based on my interactions with you and our friendship the past couple of years that those are not just words to you. You actually live that on a daily basis. I mean, hell, you're going through this very personal journey of the end is near, and all you're focusing on is other people. Like we can go through the list of it, but being a Vistage chair for multiple things. I mean, give me a little bit about what you've done. And it's hard sometimes to talk about yourself, but tell me about what you've done to embody that service and others thing.
Well, so for 20 years, I ran companies. Mm-hmm. And my focus in running my companies was on the people. I figured if I created an environment where all my people were excellent and they excelled and they saw their life as being better because they were working with me, that would be better for the business.
Right.
And I had great success in my business.
Uh-huh.
And then 20 years ago, I semi-retired and became a Vistage chair where I mentor other CEOs. Mm-hmm. And again, that was about helping them become better leaders,
right? So
that they could have a better life and get better results. Yeah. And I was really focused on the human being, not the business. In Vistage, many chairs are focused on the business. Sure. I really didn't care about the business. I cared about the human being. And I felt that if I cared about the human being that I was working with, that would result in great business. And after 20 years, it sure proved to be the fact.
Yeah. The person who introduced us, Miriam Malik, who runs a couple of organizations in Vistage, told me that, hey, we do these, CEO roundtables, you spend an afternoon with them talking about stuff. So what do you talk about during your one-on-ones? And she said 100% of the time has nothing to do with business. It's always the personal stuff, the attitude, mindset, whatever you want to call it. I guess that's true for you, right?
Yeah. But let me share a story.
Please do.
I may.
Yeah. Love stories.
So was it 5-6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago now, I was given the devastating news that my chemo no longer works. After 93 sessions, it no longer
93
works.
chemo sessions with that head of hair. You were just kicking that chemo in the ass. Wow.
And well, I don't know, because that means 93 weeks I was very sick, because chemo made me sick for a week. So I was always sick 1 week out of 3.
Yeah.
But that gave me 2 good weeks. But anyway, the doctor said, it's not working because your liver now is covered with cancer. You've got over 15 tumors in your liver. And he said, but the good news is maybe we can do a biopsy on your liver, look at those tumors, and maybe we can find some targeted therapy for you.
Right. So
I went in for my biopsy, and they kind of put me in the crazy, hazy days of, put me under. They got their sample, but because they were messing with my liver, I had to sit in the recovery room for 2 hours, even though I was completely focused. And there were 2 nurses in the recovery room, and one was working with me and one was working with someone else. And me being me, I did nothing but ask questions of the nurse that was with me and focused on her and tried to find out what was going on with her. And then she had to leave, and the other nurse was asked to take over, and she'd been listening. So she walked over, grabbed my hand, and said, can I ask you questions about my life? I really want to understand how you can be the way you are going through this, because my family's going through severe issues. My sisters are not helping my mother, and there was a lot going on. And what happened is, for the next hour, she sat with me holding my hand. She never let go of my hand. And I asked her questions about her life, and I let her express her fears and her hopes. And it became, while I'm in the recovery room for this biopsy, it became an opportunity for her to really get in touch with her emotions and her feelings around her family and her mother. And to me, that was the best recovery I could ever have. And Flora was her name. And she felt like she was so grateful that I spent that hour with her. I had nowhere else to go. But
our captive audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we spent that hour, and that made a difference for Flora. And I was, to me, that was the best use of my time.
Wow. Working on your book, which, you copy there, you can hold it up, or I can get mine if you want. There we go. There we go. That's the book, folks. He wrote this book about his, okay, you can set it down now. And it was really a series of his thoughts and feelings and musings. He blogged a lot about it, but we put this book together, and I was so taken with some of the conversations we had regarding the big questions of life and death and perspective and whatnot. And, you already said, hey, I'm going to die. So, I'm not worried about that, because I think you said it pretty well. You said you didn't know what it was like before you were born. And so it's the same thing when you die. You don't know anything because you're not existent. So it's okay, whatever. Right. But people, when they hear a friend or family member is dying of cancer, they say some things which are like, you'd roll your eyes, but like, oh my God, would you? They say things that they know they mean well, but it comes out horribly wrong. So let's take a few minutes and talk about those things that people say to you that, this is not to your friends, but to the general population, that you might want to like rephrase it. You want to cover some of those things to not say?
Well, one thing is, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first comments. We're all going to die. And, it's like well, yes, that's true. And I want everyone to understand that and to believe that.
Right.
We're all going to die. But what that does for me is it's diminishing my situation.
In a huge way. Yeah.
In a huge way. And, I don't take it that way, and I don't let it bother me, but it does diminish the person you're talking to. And if a different person might react to it differently. Right. Because while we're all going to die, I've been told mine's going to be in the next 6 months. And every day,
that's 5.5 years. Yeah.
yeah, and every day the doctors look at me like, you're a miracle. The fact that you're here. I just had a doctor when I was in the hospital because of pneumonitis about 3 months ago. And the pulmonologist who was working with me, he was like, you know what, we're going to give you this and we're going to give you that because frankly, everything about you shouldn't be. And so, you know, so I'm going to try things I haven't tried on anyone because frankly, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And that's the words they use with me. So yes, I'm going to die and I could die in the next 2 months. In fact, my expectation based on this new liver, these tumors shown in my liver is that I'm going to be gone in 6 to 10 months.
Yeah.
So it's there and it's on the doorstep. But so that's one. They go that people say we're all going to die.
Shut up! Stop whining. Like you ever whine, right? Come on, yeah.
And people say, like you always say, "Hey, you still got your hair. It can't be that bad." You don't say it can't be that bad, but people always say, "Well, you still got your hair. 93 chemo treatments. You still got your hair." I'm just, you know, and the bottom line is as if the hair really matters.
Yeah, and it's not going to be there probably next week.
Yeah, well, now that I've got this, so things all changed today.
All right, that's changed today. Okay, good.
So the treatment they were going to put me on, yes, it was 99% guaranteed I was going to lose my hair. Right. But they found this new thing, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, sure, it's fine.
But anyway,
yeah, because you look and sound so healthy when you're not in the chemo down slope there. That people are like, well, you don't look sick. You got your hair. Oh, you're they're trying to encourage you, but it's again diminishing.
It's diminishing, and you know, even when I'm really sick, I make sure. I mean, I still go out and speak to groups, even though I'm, you know, I feel like I've got the worst flu in the world because for a week after every chemo, that's what it feels like. Yeah, I'm exhausted. My head's all foggy. I know I'm not as sharp. Yeah. But I still go out in public and I still speak because, you know, because that's who I am. Yeah. And it's not like I'm going to sit there and say, woe is me. It's like, okay, I'm going to get out and keep living my life. My commitment is to live every day I have left to the best I can. Yeah. And so letting something like being sick get in the way, it's just not going to happen. You know, I've flown to Europe the day after chemo or flown to Japan the day after chemo. Yep. I've been on that plane miserable as can be, but I know a day or two after landing, I'm going to be in that country enjoying everything that country has to offer and experiencing it with my wife. And that makes it all worthwhile. Yeah. Yes.
Another phrase you told me, which I'm sure I've used before, and I won't do it again since talking to you, is like, what can I do?
Yeah, what can I do? What can
tell people why that's also a bad thing to say.
It's first off, it's wonderful of you to want to do whatever you can do.
Yeah, right.
But what has happened in that moment with those words is you have now put the burden on me. Yeah. To come up with something for you to do. So no matter what I'm going through, what I'm thinking about, now I'm in a mindset. I've got two things I can do. Is nothing, don't worry about it. Yeah. Or I have to go, okay, I know Doug. I know what his capabilities are. I know, you know, what he has to offer. What can he do for me? Let me figure out, let me do this. Let me do this for Doug. Let me
do the work for you.
Yes. Let me do this for Doug. So for me, it's a lot better if someone says, I'm going to the market. Yeah. You know, are there things that I can pick up something for you at the market or something? Or even if you come into my house, come into my refrigerator and rate it and say, look, I can see you're short on this, this, and this, and this. I'm going to the market. I'm going to bring it back. And I would rather people do than ask. Right. So whatever you think I need, call me up and say, hey, I'm going to order dinner for you tomorrow night. Yeah. So little things like that are huge, and I don't think I need it, but I know I've got to eat dinner tomorrow. Yeah. So, so instead of asking what you can do to help, it's just do something. Do something that you think you would want.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference. If you
I
do
like that.
something you think you would want.
Yeah. Yeah. Please, if you want to go do something, go cure cancer and give it back.
There you go. Yeah. If you can do that, you know, I mean, one thing I always tell people is share my book with someone. If you want to do something for me, you know, people, especially people who, so many people tell me they've read the book and it really had a profound impact.
Yeah.
And I say, well, then share it with someone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to buy another book. Give them your copy.
Yeah.
Just share it with someone. Share my message with someone. And that would be so meaningful.
And let's talk about that for a minute. You title it Cancer's Gifts, which I love because it's like a negative and a positive in one short sentence.
Right.
Can you discuss a little bit about the gifts? And don't give away the whole book, but talk about a couple of those so people understand your perspective and mindset on this.
Well, first and foremost, it's the fact that it's allowed Teresa and me, my wife, to have amazing conversations.
Yeah.
And it's allowed us to have conversations with a lot of people in our life, because every one of us knows somebody who's going through some kind of major illness, particularly cancer. And it's opened up so many conversations and really brought a closeness for us and our friends that we were already close, but it just we became closer. So that's one of the gifts. The 3 years to live philosophy has just opened our eyes to opportunity that we might have missed, might have just passed by. You know, we might have been invited to something or saw an opportunity and said, we can do that later.
Yeah.
3 years to live, we do it now. Another thing, perfect moments.
Yes, I like that one.
All of us, you know, we can all identify some perfect moments in our lives. Right. Maybe the birth of a child or wedding day, things like that. I identify and embrace perfect moments every day. My conversation with Flora was a perfect moment. It might be a moment at the gym where I have a conversation with someone else at the gym, and that to me becomes a perfect moment. I find that if I'm open and generous with what I call perfect moments, I have perfect moments every single day. Yeah. And by embracing those, oh my gosh, the joy and the fact that my day becomes so much more special because of a perfect moment or multiple perfect moments. And they happen all the time as long as I say to myself, right, wow, that was a perfect moment. I'm going to just put this out there. I think it's true. I haven't any scientific evidence of it. I've got a few. Actually, it's just my glucose is low. Okay, well, go get a cookie. Yeah, you know what? I will be right back in a second. We'll be right here. That's okay. Well, I'll just yap while we're doing that. I'll get the book. Folks, this man is his attitude and his mindset is mind-blowing. I mean, to have brain, lung, and now liver cancer, and here he is just going through his day, having a good time, helping others through their challenges while he's going through what I cannot even imagine, having all these things in your body and knowing that's, you know, the end is near. Just pay attention to what he says and how he says it, because my gosh, you know, I put on my own Facebook profile is live every day as though it's your last, because someday you'll be right. And this guy actually lives it. So I'm monologuing here. Little cranberry juice. Give me a little spike. Yeah, you never know. You know, don't worry about the UTI when you got cancer. Realize it's okay. That's right. That should do it. Yeah. And I'll have a few crackers. Yeah, go ahead. Please do. I had a train of thought. Let me see where it went. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's the only one getting foggy. I'm sure you were talking about how wonderful I am. Yeah, of course. Okay, I know what it is. The body cannot live without the mind, so we're connected here, right? And we've talked to other people who've gone through diseases like yours,
and they've got this death sentence, defeatist attitude. Doctor says you got 6 months, and gone in 6 months. You said, no, I'm gonna shoot for 3 years, a rolling 3 years, of course. So I get that. That's the good thing about it. And your attitude about living has been magnified with this diagnosis. You got to believe that your attitude has something to do with your extension of your life.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can joke about dying.
Yeah. We do.
Because see, acceptance is a big thing. The fact that I've accepted that I've got lung cancer, now I've got liver cancer, I have a brain tumor. I've accepted that all of these things are now part of my life.
Yeah.
It's part of who I am. And I've accepted that I'm going to die from cancer.
Right.
I don't know when, but I'm going to die from cancer. And so that's off the table of worries. I don't worry about it because it's going to happen. So I can't change it. There's nothing I can do to change it. So, a lot of people, they look at their past and they think to themselves, gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. Wow, look at the mistakes I've made. And all that is hoping for a better past. I can't change my past.
Yeah, right.
And the same thing as the future. I look at the future and I say, gosh, if I didn't have cancer, I could do this, or I could do that, or I can't plan for my kid's birthday or wedding because I have cancer. And I'm like, no, live every day. It's all about today and living today. And make plans to live a good life with what you can do. But man, no lamenting what's not going to happen.
Right.
And so I don't worry about what's not going to happen. I worry about what I can make happen. And that's the life I'm living.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, you've talked to other people though in your travels the past 5 years who don't have that attitude. And I mean, there's two different scenarios, right? There's the ones that hope without the reality check, and those that are accepting without living, right? They're ready to die, so they just get their affairs in order and they wait for the body to collapse.
Right.
You've got this, I guess, middle way, whereas I'm accepting things, but I'm not negative about it. I'm still like, hey, I'm going to live tomorrow, today, as I got today, right? So there's that.
Exactly.
I believe in my heart that there's this, chemical endorphins going through your body with that attitude that is, I won't use the word fighting cancer, but helping you, live through it.
A big part of that. I focus on what's possible. Sorry, it's still
more glucose, more crackers.
No, I'm doing what I need to do. There's no way to turn it off. It's still going to scream at me every time it goes low.
That's okay.
So I said no. This whole diabetes thing is a new thing that came from the drugs.
My gosh, right? We got diabetes, liver, lung, heart, lung. Oh my God, yeah.
Well, that's a whole new thing because of this drug I'm on called prednisone, which is to fix the pneumonitis, which is a product of the chemo that's caused my lungs to get all inflamed. Right. But again, even that, I look at this and say, well, okay, that's what I can do is live. Yep. Now with diabetes, I can now be injecting myself with insulin. Right. I don't worry about, damn, I wish that didn't happen because it happened. Yeah. And so I focus on what's possible. I'm a marathon. I was a marathon runner. Yeah. Now I can walk 5 miles. It's what I can do. So we go and walk 5 miles. Right. When the pneumonitis was real bad, I couldn't walk 100 steps. Yeah. But I got out and I walked with poles and everything. I went out and I walked 100 steps. Completely out of breath. That was all I can do because I do what I can do. Yeah. And I don't feel sorry for myself that I can't do it. I just focus on what's possible. And I wish more people would do that, not worry about what they've lost, but really embrace what they have.
Well, what do you do with the cards you're dealt, right?
Right.
That's it. Yeah. And when we spoke last week, it was, I got this liver cancer now, brain cancer, lung cancer. Now it's in my liver, and you were anticipating targeted therapy. And they told you last week, I'm sorry, you can't do the targeted stuff. You got to do the general, deep, nasty, accelerated chemo, which would lose your hair in 48 hours and maybe extend your life a few months, but it was going to be nasty. And you got news yesterday or today about this?
You got news this morning.
This morning? I'll hear about it.
Actually, last night it was the doctor called and said, he didn't want me to go on this chemo that is really has low effectiveness, and it would definitely 99% chance I would lose my hair, and I was going to be real sick, and there was really no guarantees that it would work.
Right.
And that would be, and my wife and I had discussed it and said, we'll try it for a couple of sessions. And if it's so bad, then we're just going to forget about it. And we're just going to live as well as we can for as long as we can.
Yeah.
And then he said he had read an article about a breast cancer treatment that was targeted, that all
you don't have man boobs. I've seen you. You don't have man boobs. You're in good shape.
Nope. That they've been trying on different types of cancer, and they did some testing of it, clinical tests, about 5 years ago, and it seemed to have some efficacy with lung cancer. And it's a targeted, so I had to have the right genomes, the right proteins in my cancer to make it work. This had been approved for lung cancer, this drug, a year ago in the European Union. And in May of this year, it was approved. So 2 months ago, it was approved for for lung cancer treatment. And we found out yesterday, he had sent this off, didn't tell me he was going to do it. And it came back and he said, well, I'm a candidate for it.
Nice.
And so we start the treatment Monday. It's got about a 50% chance of working. And when it does work, the median time frame it works is 17 months. So, it's not buying me 20 more years. We don't know what it does. 1% of the time, in other words, one person, it cured him.
Will that also go after the cancer and the liver and the brain, or just lung? It
goes after all of it.
Ooh.
It's because it's the cancer that is killing. Yeah. And it's the same cancer. It's just the lung cancer. Even though I have cancer in my liver, it's considered lung cancer.
Okay.
Because it is a lung cancer that now has decided to infest my liver.
It's traveling like you were traveling. Yeah.
It's the same thing as lung cancer in my brain and in my lymph nodes. It's in my lymph nodes too.
Oh, geez.
So this will, but if it works, it'll buy me
whatever.
I'll be back to my 3 years to live, and because I was really focusing on being gone by the end of this year. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was. And I really expected that was going to be the end of my life, the end of this year.
Right.
So now I've been given a bit of a reprieve. Maybe we don't know if it's going to work.
See, when will they know if it's actually working?
Probably 6 weeks. 8 weeks whenever I do my next scan.
Okay. You obviously be blogging about that on CaringBridge, I know, because you're a big blogger on CaringBridge.
Yes.
And for those folks who want to check that out, it's caringbridge.org. Is that right?
Caringbridge.org, and just look for Les Whitney. And I've been blogging for 5.5 years.
Yep.
I update, at first when I started this, I was updating every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
As I was learning more and going through it. Now it's been every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Usually it's either whatever, some event. It might be a chemo treatment. It might be a mental epiphany that I had and I want to share. But so it's about every 2 or 3 weeks that I update. And if you're on there, you can get an email that says less updated.
Yep. It's a wonderful blog. I'll just talk about it for a moment because you wrote it and I want to comment on it. But Les is very clinical about what happens and what's happening in his life. He says what's going on, and positive or negative, it's the same amount of energy he puts towards that. And my gosh, that's the inspirational part for a lot of people, because I keep thinking about other people who go through this and they get emotional about it. They go, you know, irrational hope or irrational acceptance of, you know, of death versus I don't know how to phrase it, but I use the word reality-based reality-based optimism is how I describe you. It's like, yeah, he's accepting it's going to take him out and he's living life fully in despite of it. So
that's, yeah. I mean, I'm matter of fact, but I do share my thoughts and my emotions around it.
Right.
You know, I you know, and I like, you know, a couple of posts ago, I said, you know, Teresa and I cried this morning.
Yep.
And it was because we had, you know, found out that it looked like I was gonna be in the last 6 or 8 months of my life. And so, you know, it's I don't know. I try to present it just in a way that everyone can relate. And I don't write this. I think the people who get the most value are people who are healthy, because it really gives them a perspective on life that, you know, if this guy can go through this and have this perspective, what am I complaining about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whenever I have a down moment or a down day, I will definitely think about you. And I have a couple times actually. I'm like, oh boy, you know, your life is pretty good, because you say your life is pretty good. So I'm like, well,
my life is past 5 years have been the best 5 years of my life.
Right.
So, you know, in so many ways, just every time I turn around, there's something to be grateful for.
Right. You talk about those perfect moments. And you know, with this talking with Laura, that one nurse was one of them. Give me another one. I know you got many.
So I'm going to give you one that most people wouldn't say is a perfect moment, because to me, a lot of perfect moments result in memories too.
Okay.
And so Teresa and I were playing golf, and all this chemo and everything, my balance is really awful.
Yeah. And
I hit a shot into the lake at our golf course, and I went over. I was going to fish out the ball, and my balance went south. And the next thing I knew, I was in the middle of the lake, so completely drenched in the middle of the lake. And I got out, you know, with a lot of help, because I was all cut up and everything. And, you know, I'm there and I'm getting ready to hit the shot on the next hole. And I turned to Teresa and I said, that was a perfect moment, because we're going to talk about that forever.
Yeah.
And so, you know, even that can be a perfect moment.
There's an old saying, tragedy plus time equals humor.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
I like
you
that.
know, tragic for a moment, but then it's a great story for later. You know, it's very true. We're going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or less. I want to hear about being a Vistage chair. You're serving all these other CEOs and their companies. But when you were diagnosed, and Vistage, which is a worldwide organization of a CEO peer group, for those who don't know it, they actually made an award, not just for you, but about you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Vistage has identified, Vistage is 70 years old now. And 3 chairs, we were called chairs. 3 chairs have had awards named after them, that everyone strove to get an award. And about 4 years ago or 3 years ago, they called me up and asked if I'd come in, and they wanted to let me know that they've now created a 4th award, and it's the Les Whitney Award for Perseverance. And it was for a lot of things I did during my 20 years working with the organization, and for my life with cancer, and how the impact I've had on Vistage members, on the Vistage community, and then on the world in general, by sharing my story and by living a great life for the rest of my life. And so this award is handed out every year in January to a deserving member of the community, the chair of the Vistage community. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to be there and hand out the award the last few years. And I was thinking I wouldn't get to do it this year, but maybe I will now with this new drug.
We'll see. I can't wait to get the update in about 6.5 weeks or so. Let me know thumbs up or down or sideways. What's going to happen? It's going to be, you gonna sleep the night before that? I mean, how do you even?
You know what? It doesn't. I don't even think about it.
Right there, you go.
I just go to sleep. You know, because that's something in the future, and I can't do anything about it, so I don't think about it.
Right.
You know, whatever will be, will be. I'm going to be Doris Day. Que sera, sera.
Well, unless you lose your hair, then come back to the hair thing. It's just impressive. Okay, so yeah, you're que sera, sera guy. I like that. What other kind of words of wisdom would you like to share with the audience today, and then we'll wrap this up?
You know, if I would, there's a few things. I mean, first and foremost is that we all have to embrace the people we love.
Yeah.
And really hold on tight to those relationships. And please don't hide if you've got issues. Don't hide it from them.
Right.
The fact, Teresa and I are in this together. This is our journey. It's our cancer. I've never felt like I was alone. And the worst thing I could do was try to keep it from her, because it makes it harder on her, not easier. So I think that's one thing. And I do that with everyone in my community. That's why I have the blog, because it's easier for them if I keep them informed and keep them in the loop. So that's one thing. And I would say focus on today. Live each day like it's your last. Yeah. And enjoy it, and don't let any negative energy get in the way. Yeah. You know, just make it happen, and don't put off to tomorrow your dreams. Right. You know, if I want to do something, I do it. You know, we're living today for today. And so those are the things I wish everyone would just focus on. Live a great life for the rest of your life. However long it is, can happen day at a time. That's right. Man, again, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Always chatting with you, Les. Folks, his book is beyond inspirational. It can, we all say, change your life. It can. It certainly extended his life, and it can change yours. It's a best-selling book, Cancer's Gift, A Loving Journey Towards the Final Chapter. And we hope and pray that Les's final chapter keep moving on that rolling 3 years. Push another 3 years on that sucker. And man, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Check his book out on Amazon. There's a link right here on the screen. You can see it. I put a special link for the book on Amazon. It says DougCrow.site Les. It'll take you right to Amazon to get his book. So check that out, and I'll put it up there again for a few seconds here. No time limit on it. Whatever, it's up there. All right, Les, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Doug. And, I appreciate you too, my friend. We'll chat again soon, and definitely, if not 6 weeks, probably sooner. All right, buddy. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.